Kingfish!
Oh, beauty.
How cool is that? Crushed it.
Good on you, Endo.
Little top lake king. How good is the estuary fishing at the moment in Merimbula? G'day folks, it's Ando from Boss Outdoor with this week's fishing report. So if you'd like to catch a kingfish out of Merimbula in the top lake, now's your chance. There are quite a few up there. A lot of them are small and undersized, however there are some bigger models there and I've heard of them up to 80 centimetres. So good time to be up there throwing a soft plastic around. Try the main basin right near the channel. So as soon as you pour into the basin out of the channel, around the left and the right, there's a heap of bait schools there. If you have a look around, you'll see the birds dipping in. You might even see the kingfish busting up. So Adam and I had a fish earlier in the week and we basically saw the fish bow waving, just moving through. And all we did was just lay a plastic out in front of them and they just charged it. So we got pretty lucky, but hey, sometimes you get lucky, that's fishing. We take the good with the bad. So the better times to try would be around a tide change. If you get a tide change in the morning and the afternoon, even better. So just maybe pencil that into your thought process if you're going to look for one, particularly this weekend. And not only are there kingfish there, there's still a heap of trevally around. We also found a heap of trevally earlier in the week. And Adam caught the biggest flounder I have ever seen. It was an absolute monster. I don't think I've ever seen a flounder that big. I'm sure they exist. I'm sure everyone else has probably caught one bigger, but that's the biggest one I've seen, so well done, ads. So if you're after a dewey this weekend, still plenty of deweys in the top lake. Jackson Lee and his cousin have been catching quite a few nice fish. Also a heap of flathead with that. Also some tailor. So if you're looking just to bend a rod, maybe troll a lure around the top lake and get into those tailor. If you're trolling a deep diver, like a double clutch, and let them out the back of the boat about 30 metres, you'll get them down to 4 metres. You'll be picking up flatties and trevally as well, maybe even a cheeky kingy. So the estuary fishing's red hot. So if you haven't got a boat and you're shore based, right here, this wharf right here at the front of Boss Outdoor hosts some really good fishing, particularly if you're just bait fishing for mullet and blackfish. There's a lot going on here. There are banjo rays moving around that you can see. The mullet are schooling, there are trevally, and it's just a great little location to bring the family. It's nice and safe and quite easy. So the offshore fishing's been a little tough. Not many snapper around. The snapper that we are finding, sort of average size. I've heard of a few 50 centimetre models out off Long Point and Haycock, which, you know, that's a nice fish. But if I was heading offshore, I'd be going to chase those flathead. Get out in about 50 metres. So last week, the reports were 25 to 30. Now the fish are there, but if you want to catch some donkeys, go deeper. So 50 to 55, you're looking at sand flathead, tiger flathead. You're going to get the odd gurnard mixed in, but the tiger flathead are so big. So maybe give that a shot if you're looking for a tasty feed this weekend. So if you're beach angling this weekend, you're in luck. Heaps of salmon around. Chura Beach is the pick, and I've heard of salmon up to 68 centimetres coming from Chura. So that's a horse of a fish, so maybe get into that. Also here there's some brim and tailor up there as well, and I might even head up there myself on Sunday because the tides are good and I love catching brim off the beach. If you're rock angling, there are still a few drummer around, but there's a few other species being caught too. Steve Coltrera and Dean Truman went for a fish just the last weekend, and they caught some amazing fish. They caught blue mohwang, red mohwang, amongst other things. So that's a fantastic feed right there with a few drummer thrown in the mix. So if you want something really tasty this weekend, why don't you try for a squid or a blue swimmer crab? There are heaps of crabs in the estuary again, and the squid are on. But hey, why don't you top it off with a feed of prawns? So many prawns around. So many customers are coming in and just getting them at the boat ramp off the jetty. They're picking up 2 kilos at a time and they're good size. So grab the nets, grab the lights and get into it. It's such a good time of year to be out and about doing things. The weather's warmer and on the new moon, that's when the prawns run. So we have that this weekend. And if you're after crustaceans and tasty things with shells, why don't you go up to the high country, up to Lake Yukonbene and get a feed of yabbies. There's so many big yabbies coming out of there at the moment. They're on the move, which means the trout are on the move too. So if you're trout fishing around the shores of Yukonbene, Seven Gates, Buckenderra Middling Bank, heaps of good yabby banks around there, Rushy's Bay, you're going to fare well for trout as well. So not a bad option. Catch a few trout and get a bucket full of yabbies. Well, Leif has an offshore report for us now, so while he's bringing you that, I'm going to work out the deal of the week.
Well, another great week of solid yellowfin fishing. That water off Bateman's Bay area still is pushing in really nice. About probably 200 to 400 fathoms. The weather's pretty good as well. I think you might have a bit of bad weather on Saturday, but if you can get out Friday or Sunday, Monday, it looks pretty good to catch yellowfin tuna. If you're happy to jump in your car and travel a little bit to go and catch a kingfish, the fishing off Mallacoota at the moment is next level. They're good sized fish, there's plenty of them, so you just head straight out of Mallacoota and head a little bit south. You'll find plenty of boats and plenty of kingfish. So if you don't want to travel all the way down to Mallacoota and offshore's not your thing, head to Womboyne. Matt Pedro from our Canberra store has been fishing for flathead in Womboyne for the last week or so and catching PB flathead, both him and his partner catching fish in the 80 to 90 centimetre range. Absolute great fish. Well, plenty of great options for this week's fishing, so let's head back into Buddha for this week's deal of the week.
So the team at Boss Outdoor would love to see you out there catching those kingfish up in the top lake. Now, if you don't have a boat, don't despair. Come in and mention that you watch the fishing report and we're going to offer you 50% off our boat rentals. But don't forget to grab a packet of Cross City before you go up there. That's what they're biting on. Well, that's it for this week, folks. If there's anything else you need to know about bait, hooks, lures, or where those kingfish are biting in the top lake, come into Boss Outdoor so we can hook you up. So if you're enjoying our videos, remember to like and subscribe.